You ever stumble across something that feels like it wasn't meant for your eyes? Like the universe tried to stop you, but you went anyway? That's what happened to Leo, Miles, and Danny, three friends from a small town in Oregon who found something in the woods they'll never forget. It was late January, bitter cold, and boredom was starting to feel dangerous. Behind their neighborhood, past a frozen creek and a half-collapsed shed, was an old drainage tunnel no one talked about, but everyone knew. The kind of place that dares you to enter every time you pass it. They'd joked about it for years, calling it the Echo Pipe, but no one ever stepped inside. That night, though, something was different. They were restless, aching for a thrill. So they grabbed flashlights, threw on hoodies, and told their parents they were heading to the corner store. They cut through a neighbor's backyard, hopped a fence, and slid down the frozen embankment to the tunnel entrance. It was wide enough for a car, black as ink inside, and breathing cold air like it was alive. Danny hesitated, but Leo stepped forward first, light cutting into the dark. The tunnel echoed with each step, crunching gravel, dripping water, and the soft shuffle of denim. Graffiti coated the walls, most of it old and faded, but one part stood out. A date sprayed in thick black paint, August 12th, 20. It looked fresh, too fresh, like someone had just been there. "Yo, this place is colder than outside," Miles said. And he was right. The farther they walked, the more the temperature dropped. Their breath clouded thick in the air. Frost clung to the walls, and strange, long icicles hung from the ceiling like teeth in a frozen mouth. Then they heard it. A crack, loud, deep, like a tree splitting in half somewhere up ahead. They froze. It wasn't one of them. The sound bounced off the walls, warped and stretched. Danny turned, ready to bolt, but Leo whispered, "Wait, just wait. Listen." They waited, and the tunnel waited with them, silent, cold, breathing. Then, suddenly, a second sound, a slow, dragging scrape, like metal sliding over concrete. "Nope," Miles muttered. He spun around, but Leo kept his light pointed ahead, his voice low. "Someone's in here." They started backing up, slowly, flashlights jittering across the walls. Then Leo's beam caught something up ahead, just for a split second. A shape, thin, upright, gone as fast as it appeared. "Did you see that?" Danny whispered. Nobody answered. They didn't have to. Suddenly, every instinct screamed, "Run." And they did. Hard, tripping over ice and gravel, sliding against wet concrete. The tunnel swallowed their footsteps and spat them back, distorted and doubled, like someone, or something, was chasing right behind them. They burst out into the frozen night, gasping, wild-eyed. Miles hit the ground hard, scraping his knee, but didn't stop crawling. Danny yelled, "Keep going," and they scrambled up the hill toward the fence. That's when Leo realized his phone was gone. He must have dropped it in the panic. "Forget it," Danny yelled, but Leo was already turning back. "I need it. It's my work phone," he shouted. Against every plea, he sprinted back toward the tunnel, flashlight swinging. The others hesitated, then chased after him. The tunnel felt different this time. Colder, heavier. The air was thick, like walking through water. Their flashlights flickered, barely holding a charge. The graffiti on the walls seemed wrong now, like it shifted when they weren't looking, like it watched them. Then they heard it, something new. A scream, far off but moving closer. A human scream, echoing, twisting. It didn't sound angry. It sounded lost, desperate. They froze again, and Danny asked the question all of them were thinking. What if it's not a person? Leo found the phone, screen down near a frozen puddle. He snatched it up and turned to leave, but froze. The tunnel behind them looked longer, darker, as if the exit had stretched farther away. "Did we go deeper?" Miles asked, but no one remembered walking further. They turned to leave, and that's when all their flashlights died at once. Total blackout. A heavy silence dropped like a curtain. "No way," Danny muttered, slapping his flashlight. Nothing. No clicks. No light. Just that same thick, watching darkness pressing in. Then footsteps. Not theirs. Light and fast, circling them. Leo held up his phone screen. It barely lit his own hands. The tunnel was silent again. Then came the whisper. Soft. Right behind them. "You shouldn't be here." It wasn't any voice they knew. Panic hit like a wave. They ran, blind and stumbling. The tunnel bent, twisted, felt wrong. Like it had grown extra turns while they weren't looking. Miles swore they passed the same dripping pipe 3 times. "We're going in circles," Danny hissed. "This thing's changing." Finally, they saw it, a faint glow. The exit. Snowlight spilling in. They sprinted for it, lungs burning. As they reached the end, Leo looked back, just for a second. A shadow stood in the tunnel's curve, watching, tall, still, unblinking. Then it stepped back into the dark. They didn't speak until they reached the car. Once inside, heat blasting, they all sat in stunned silence. Leo unlocked his phone. There were new photos. Not ones he'd taken. Blurry shapes, deep in the tunnel, and one clearer than the rest. A face, pale and wrong. Later that night, Leo's apartment buzzer rang twice, around 3 a.m. He looked out the window. No one there. Just fog in the alley. He didn't go back to sleep. None of them did. Because deep down, they knew whatever lives in that tunnel wasn't done with them yet. 2 weeks later, in a town 40 miles north, a guy named Eli was out looking for scrap metal near a frozen creek. He worked nights, stayed off-grid, and had no clue about the boys in the tunnel. But that morning, he found something strange wedged under a collapsed fence. It was a shopping cart, twisted, scorched, and half-wrapped in what looked like old rope. Nearby, he found melted plastic, scorched shoes, and blackened dolls. One had a nail through its eye. Eli froze. Something about it felt wrong, like he'd just stumbled onto a warning. He pulled out his phone to take photos, but his battery, fully charged minutes earlier, was now dead. Static buzzed in his ears. The wind picked up, sharp and cold. Then he saw them, footprints. Not his. Bare, human, and fresh. They led into the woods, and they were wet. He backed away fast, but just before he turned, he noticed something scratched into a nearby tree. Deep gashes, like symbols. Underneath, written in what looked like dried red paint, it said, June 19th, 19. Same date from the tunnel. Eli didn't know what it meant, but we do. That night, Eli couldn't sleep. His trailer felt cold, heavy, like someone was standing just outside. He checked 3 times, no one was there. But each time, he'd return to his bed to find the door cracked open. He lived alone, and he always locked that door. Around 3:12 a.m., he finally passed out, only to wake to the sound of whistling. Soft, broken melody. It was coming from under the trailer. He didn't move, didn't breathe. Then something scraped the floorboards beneath his bed, and the whistling stopped. When he finally got the courage to look outside, there were footprints in the snow. Bare, human, leading away into the woods. And at the edge of the trees, a single doll, burned, melting into the ice. Same face from Leo's photo. That was the last night Eli slept there. Her name was Nina, and she was obsessed with internet mysteries. One night, she found a thread about the tunnel scream, supposedly caught on video. The clip was shaky and dark, but you could hear it. Something deep, guttural, non-human. She couldn't stop thinking about it. She tracked down coordinates someone posted, claiming it was filmed near a ghost town in Colorado. Old mining shafts, abandoned rail tunnels, and stories about disappearances. Nina booked a flight. Her friends called her crazy, but she had a feeling. This wasn't a hoax. She arrived with a camera, a flashlight, and 2 phones. No cell signal, just downloaded maps. As she followed the trail through the trees, the snow began falling harder. Hours passed. Then she saw it. A wide, black tunnel hidden behind thorny overgrowth. Just like the video. She stepped inside. The air was ice. The tunnel walls were soaked. Graffiti marked the walls, most of it gibberish, but one symbol kept repeating. A circle with 3 jagged lines inside. She took a picture, but her camera glitched. The screen went static for 4 seconds. Further in, she found a pile of wet clothing, children's shoes, a rotted backpack, and inside it, a melted walkie-talkie and a scorched photograph, 3 teens smiling with sleds. Behind them, the tunnel entrance. The photo was dated January 14th, 2023. Then came the sound. Distant, metallic scraping, followed by a whistle. Not a tune. More like someone forcing air through a broken throat. Nina backed up fast, heart pounding. But when she turned around, the tunnel behind her wasn't empty anymore. Something moved. She ran, sprinting through freezing air, screaming, but the sound behind her matched her pace. She dropped her camera, didn't stop. She only escaped because she fell backward through the thorn wall, cutting her arms. She never posted the footage, but it's out there. The whistling stopped, and in the silence that followed, Darren could hear soft, deliberate steps circling his tent. Twigs cracked. Leaves shifted. Something was out there, and it wasn't trying to stay quiet. He held his breath, paralyzed. His brain screamed to run, but his body refused. Then, the zipper on his tent twitched, just once. Not opening, just a tug, like someone wanted him to know they were there. That moment snapped him into motion. He burst out of the tent, grabbing nothing. No flashlight, no shoes. He just ran barefoot into the dark, branches clawing at his arms as he plunged deeper into the woods. Behind him, he could hear them. Not one person, multiple. Their footsteps were scattered and chaotic. Too fast, too loud, like something was chasing him on all fours, but with too many limbs. Darren ran until his lungs burned and his feet bled. He dove beneath a fallen tree, burying himself in dead leaves, heart hammering like it would explode. The woods felt quiet again, but he didn't move. He stayed hidden for what felt like hours. When morning light began to break through the canopy, he finally crawled out. His feet were torn, his hands were trembling, but he was alive for now. He made it back to the ranger station by midday, barefoot, shivering, and barely able to speak. They filed a report, took his statement, but no one ever found that campsite, or the burn doll, or the carts. Darren quit the job that same week, packed his stuff, left town, and never went back. But that night kept gnawing at him. He didn't dream, he relived it. The fire, the carts, that melted doll staring at him through scorched plastic eyes. He tried to research the area, looking for anything, old news stories, legends, local disappearances. But there was nothing, not a single mention of anything strange near Raven Hollow. It was like it didn't want to be remembered. Weeks passed. Then one night, around 3 a.m., he heard something outside his apartment. A faint sound, familiar, whistling, the same broken tune from the woods. It was slow, off-key, and far too close to his window. He didn't move, didn't breathe. The whistling continued for almost a full minute before fading into silence. The next morning, there were footprints in the dirt just below his bedroom window. Barefoot, human-shaped, small. He called the police, but they found nothing. No fingerprints, no clear trail. Just one sentence spray-painted on the alley wall behind his building. Some things follow. The paint was still wet when the cops arrived. Since then, Darren's never stayed in one place too long. He moves every few months. New names, new cities. But he knows deep down, whatever was out there, it saw him. And it remembers. And maybe it's not done yet. And now you're hearing this. Maybe that's how it spreads, through stories, through memory, through curiosity. So if you ever hear soft whistling at night, don't look out the window. Just stay still and hope it keeps walking. After that, Darren tried to forget, but strange things kept happening. His phone would glitch randomly, playing old audio clips he'd never recorded. Once, it played back the whistling, low, warped, and distorted, looping until he smashed the phone. He tried therapy, tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was just trauma. Maybe stress was rewriting his memories. But one night, during a session, his therapist froze mid-sentence. Her eyes locked onto something behind Darren, and she screamed. He spun around, but the room was empty. She refused to continue the session, said she saw a figure, pale, soaking wet, standing just behind him. Her office security camera glitched the same minute, replacing footage with static. That was the last straw. Darren burned the old boots he wore that night, deleted every file, every photo. He even got rid of the backpack. But no matter what he removed, something always came back. Whispers, cold spots, shadows. One night, he saw it again. From a window on the second floor of a motel. Just for a second, a figure standing across the street, still and watching. Not moving. And then, gone. Like it melted into the dark before his eyes. Darren doesn't try to fight it anymore. He just runs. Sleeps with the lights on. Keeps a bag packed. But deep down, he knows that some things, once found, don't let go. They stay with you, buried in places no one else can reach. You might think this was just a story, a warning, but that's the problem. That's how it starts. You hear a detail, picture it in your head, and now it knows you too. Just like it knew him, just like it knew the woods. And now, it's listening. Somewhere out there, Darren's still moving. He changes towns every few months. No job lasts long. No apartment feels safe. He leaves behind half-packed bags, cold meals, and neighbors who swear they hear something whistling near their windows. He's tried telling people, cops, priests, paranormal investigators, But it's always the same. Interest at first, then confusion, then fear. Once, a local pastor offered to help. After one night of prayer, the man vanished. Only his Bible remained. There was one girl, Lena, who stuck around the longest. They met in Oregon. She believed him, or wanted to. But after she stayed over one night, she woke up screaming. Said her dreams were full of drowning sounds and glassy black eyes watching her. She left in the morning. No goodbye, no message. Just gone. Darren doesn't blame her. He doesn't blame anyone. Whatever followed him out of those woods, it doesn't just haunt, it infects. It shows people what it wants them to see. It doesn't attack. It waits. It's patient. It lives in silence, between shadows, behind reflections. And it's not tied to that forest anymore. He brought it with him, accidentally. And now, it's always just a few steps behind. Sometimes he thinks he hears footsteps in sync with his. Other times, it's breathing, slow, wet, like lungs filled with river water. But the worst part? He never hears it when it's closest. Only after it's already gone, and he's not alone. So if you ever find yourself walking near the edge of the woods, and the air turns cold, if the birds stop chirping, and you hear a distant, broken whistle, don't look back. Don't go in. Darren already did. And some doors never close again. This story is more than just a warning. It's a record. A breadcrumb trail left behind by someone who still doesn't sleep more than 2 hours at a time. Darren shared what he could before disappearing again. Somewhere colder, quieter. He left behind a flash drive, mailed to an old coworker. It had videos, some distorted, others showing strange symbols carved into trees. Footage of open fields that suddenly cut to static, then back to Darren's face, whispering, "It's learning." The last file was corrupted, but a single phrase looped clearly, over and over. "I never brought it back." It followed on its own. The timestamps were all dated weeks after Darren claimed he'd gone off-grid. No phone, no power. Online forums tried decoding the files. Some said it's fake, others called it a new form of digital haunting. But then a user from another state posted the same whistling, caught on their security cam, 3 nights in a row. Same pattern. People dismissed it, until that user disappeared, too. No signs of forced entry, no struggle, just their computer left running, screen frozen on a paused video of the woods. In the background, you could just barely make out the carts. Now, every few months, new stories surface. New people with the same dream, same whistle, same wet footprints in hallways. Some are believed, most aren't, but the signs are there. The duck, the doll, the ropes in the trees. So maybe Darren was right. Maybe there was a line he crossed that night. And maybe this thing, whatever it is, never wanted him dead. Just seen, heard, passed on. And now that you've heard the story, maybe you're next.